What's up, guys? It's Ruben and Gabe with Source Gaming, and we're going to be bringing you a little bit of a Banlist discussion for the up-and-coming format. These are a couple cards we wanted to talk about and just see where we would put them for the next Banlist and just how the format's going to keep evolving after that. So, to start off, we kind of wanted to talk about Instant Fusion. This card is just absurdly broken, and honestly, it just has to go. I don't think there's anything more that can be said about it. I don't think anyone will argue about Instant Fusion needing to go. The card's just insanely strong.
And thrusting is going to be able to add it to the hand too, so you can have more copies.
Yeah. And then to go along with Instant Fusion, another hit to tier, hitting Planet. This card just gives you an obscene advantage in the mirror match specifically. Just being able to start popping cards of your opponent when they can't do the same to you, and it makes the rogue matchups insanely easy for the tier deck as well. Just being able to get free pops just from the Ishizu shufflers themselves, not even just when you're resolving your tier effects, is really important. And it sometimes allows you to even play when you have one of your tiers left on the field, and then one of your tiers gets shuffled back into your deck and you're able to pop it and continue playing. And I think that comes up enough where the card should just easily be at 1 if not banned.
Yeah, definitely a super unfair card. No, should just definitely be at 1.
Yeah, and then Hoffness. I'm not sure how this card should be hit. We were trying to figure out which tier card should be hit, whether it should be Rhino, Merly, or Sheeran, or Hoffness. We kind of decided on this one just because it's a hand trap, and it allows you to start playing on your opponent's turn, so you can start using all of your tier or your milling effects to start playing on turn 0 instead of on your first turn. The OCG, I think, started by limiting it to 2. I feel like that's kind of awkward. Probably putting it to 1 would be best. I'm not 100% sure, though. What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, I definitely think like having it should be a 1 of. Being able to like start your turn with like Kaleido Hard and like Kit, or like milling an Agito or a Kelbeck and like to mill 5, it makes the tier deck really unfair, and it makes your opponent not have a good time. So I definitely think this card should be at 1. It's the most broken tier.
Yeah, and then with going up with the tier cards, at least we have the Ishizu cards, the 2 mills and the 2 shufflers. Where do you think these should go?
I'm pretty sure like all of them should get hit to 1 except Medora. Like having 3 ofs of Agito and 3 ofs of Kelbeck, just you mill them and the game's over for your opponent if they don't have these cards in their deck. And the shufflers are impactful, but what makes them really impactful is when you can use them multiple times. Like I can use them on my turn, then I'll use some on your turn, then I'll go back and use some on my turn again. And so that's why I think if they got hit, limited to 1 like Keldo, because it also searches for any piece you're missing. Medora is like the worst out of all 4 because it doesn't really search anything because you don't really play the trap. So I think all of them should be hit to 1 except Medora. Medora could be like anything.
Yeah, and then like Caldo and Agito can both just also be extenders going first or second, which
like they're so good. Kelbeck also is a hand trap. They all have their own reason why they should be hit to 1 except Medora. I can't really find a good one because it makes you play bricks. So I think all of them should get hit except Medora.
Yeah, and then talking about hand traps, talking with Caldo, D-Shifter. Most people despise this card. Some people are fans of it that play Flunder, but I think it should go and be banned. I don't think that's realistic. I think it'll probably just be hit to 1. Sounds like something Konami would do, but what do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking shifters like it's like Herald of Orange Light when the Ishizus came out. I think it was fine at 3 before the Cashier deck because it's like Tier's the best deck, and then every other deck should just use like Shifter or Macro or something. But now Cashier is gonna be like a really relevant deck, and I don't think like the super relevant deck should have a win condition as a hand trap. So I think this card definitely is a 1 of, and it should just get the Herald of the Orange Light effect.
I think that's a really good way to put it, just with Orange Light helping the best deck of the format just keep itself further ahead of the rest of the game. And this would kind of do the same with the new Cashier cards. And I think this next card, the Barrier Statue, it goes somewhat with the Cashier cards, but also with Flunder, since there is a new combo that summons the side of your deck with the Raid Raptor. And not just that, but also it's been prevalent in Flunder. And I think, honestly, if Flunder loses this card, it's a much easier matchup. And same thing if the D-Shifter gets put to 1, you have to deal with a lot less of the floodgates and like non-answerable cards that they're putting on the field. Like Empen's easier to deal with. They may put down Apex, or they may rise you at one point, but not being able to special summon or not being able to use your graveyard as an additional resource really makes that matchup a lot worse. And I just think it's time for this card to go.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, a really big point is like I don't think Konami likes being able to abuse this card in other decks that aren't what they're meant for. Like for Flunder, it makes sense because it's like a whole like wind deck. But like for instance, they hit Smorg because it was able to summon Wind Statue and Apex Avion. And now with the rank 7, like just being able to summon this in any deck is like really unfair. And then it also gives like a light touch to Flunder. That's kind of needed because it is like I'd say the most relevant deck other than Tier Shizu's because you definitely always have 6 cards that are just for Flunder in your side deck. I mean, it would be a light touch on that.
Yeah, and then after we have Harp, this is just one card that I honestly think can come back at any point right now. I don't know if to 3, but at least to 1 copy. I don't think the Orcus engine in and of itself without Mermaid is splashable enough to be put in a lot of these decks. And I think the additional hits to the Yoshizu cards won't make it as prevalent because if we did have all the Yoshizu cards unlimited and got 1 copy of Harp with having all the tier cards, I feel like that could definitely cause some issues just ending on multiple counter traps along with being able to play on your opponent's turn with your tier cards and your Orcus cards. Doesn't sound like a fun time, but I do think it's well timed this card comes off the list.
Yeah, agreed. I just don't think this card's that powerful or that deck's that powerful without the nightmare stuff. And it should get like a Hilarious effect, where they just got all their stuff back. And yeah, I think this card should just come back and just put something else out there people can mess around with.
Yeah, another card that I think we can start getting back into the format is Pankratops. We have it at 1 right now, and with the release of a card like Fenrir, that essentially is supposed to replace a card like Pankratops, I think we could go ahead and move this to 2 or to 3. And I also think it's just a really good card in general for the format, and with the boards that they're building, I feel like it'd be really strong in the cash tier matchup to be able to summon Pankratops to help crack your opponent's board. And I think it'll allow you to play a lot more, not necessarily fair Yu-Gi-Oh, but interactive Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think that's something that Konami sometimes strives for. So I think it'll definitely add a new dynamic if we're able to get 3 Pankratops, and it helps with a lot of the floodgate issues that occasionally happen.
I've been thinking about this card more, and it's up in the air for me. Like all your points are good, but the only thing that would scare me of this card just staying at 1 is that it's level 7, and it can be special. Like you can go like Cashier monster, and if they have more monsters than you, you can go Pankrotop too. And now you have like level 7s and one of them like pop. I would actually almost see it as like a herald, like in the cash deck. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I think Cashier might make this card not be able to come back now that I think about it, Ruben.
Maybe,
but
it being a level 7, it definitely.
Yeah, the level 7 thing's really scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, everything else you said makes a lot of sense. That it could be able to come back. It's just like a generic solid card. It just pops anything.
Yeah, and then a couple cards I think that can go to 3 easily are Jet. I think now with Fiber being banned, this card's not as impactful. It's like cool in some decks, but in those decks that it's cool in, you only need 1 copy of. So I think it just can go back to 3. Another card that can just easily go back, I think, is Yada. It just doesn't do anything. So there's no reason it shouldn't be at 3.
Yep, agreed.
And then this is a card Gabe was talking to me about, and Magnemite. So I think this card should get hit. I don't think it's going to get hit right now, but I think it's a card that definitely deserves a spot on the list, and I think multiple Bastiles will find themselves on the ban list at one point.
Yeah, like I was telling Ruben, the only reason I really think it's gonna get hit is because like it's hand trappy. And like they're all supers, and now they're dropping the new one, and it's common. So there's just been like a rumor that like the Bastiles were gonna get hit or some of them, and that's why I just put it there because this is just like a prediction.
Yeah, I also think Konami is somewhat likely to hit Jerusalem as well because it has the ability to send a card off of your opponent's field. So having to play Magnemite with like Sornier instead of Jerusalem if they decide to ban it would be a lot worse than playing Magnemite with a copy of Jerusalem for search and then out a card as well.
Yeah,
because before you could just make Dark or make Beatrice and then just automatically out a card while like starting to play, like let's just say you were playing the tier deck that automatically gives you access to at least 1 tier fusion. whether it be through Beatrice sending one or through Dark into Sprint.
Agreed.
Yeah. And then since all these other decks have been getting hit, obviously we have to talk about Sprite. The OCG approach Sprite by hitting a starter and jet. I honestly agree. I think starter going to 1 is fine. I don't know if you need to put starter to 1 and jet to 1 because they kind of serve similar roles, but at the same time, jet allows you to search for different cards. So while putting starter to 1 and keeping jet at 3, it allows you to search for either smashers or double cross after you've used a starter. But it also limits the follow up that Sprite has without inherently limiting the power level of the deck. But it does affect some of the consistency. That's the only thing that I feel like will really change that if you're able to, if you hit the starter and the jet, because I feel like just taking away 2 of its starter cards isn't as bad as taking away 4.
Yep, fully agree. I think the most unfair cards in Sprite is Jet, because it can search the Smashers or what's that trap card?
Double cross.
Or it can search Double Cross, and then the other strongest part of the deck is Toad. So if I'm gonna directly hit Sprite, I think hitting the Jet's really good because it also makes you think twice about like going Jet into Smashers and like banishing your Jet because it's gone forever. You know, like you want to be able to bring the Jet back and add something else. And then starter, definitely a card because it's a 1-card start combo by itself. So it's definitely a card I can see getting hit to 1 or 2. Maybe Jet to 1, starter to 2, something like that, or just 1 and 1. Because those 2 are the most unfair cards.
Yeah, I agree. And like, it just jet allows you to either get into more engine or it allows you to get into additional defensive cards, whatever your board's really going to miss, which I think is a really crucial point of the deck. The last 2 main deck cards here we're going to talk about are cash tier cards, since that's what the format's going to evolve into. And Konami's probably not going to hit any of the new cards, but since these cards have already been out for a couple months, I think they could do some preemptive hits. Or if this Banlist comes out after the next couple YCSs, they won't necessarily be preemptive anymore. But Fenrir in and of itself is just generically a good card, along with being a crucial combo piece in the cash tier deck, allowing you to search whatever monster you're missing. And I can easily see this card going to 1 or to 2 because it's the rotor for the deck.
Yep, agreed. Fenrir, Unicorn, super generic, good cards. And yeah, I don't know if they'd be preemptive like you said, because there are events like coming up next week. So, but I do think Konami like does usually wait like 1-2 events, sees it, and then just hits something. And for any Unicorn, definitely like the big targets that not necessarily even get hit to 1. Either one of them would get hit to 2 or something. Just do a light touch on the new deck. Just kind of how they did on the Ishizu tier with the Herald. And yeah, that's pretty much it with those 2.
Yeah, I agree. And then talking about some extra deck cards. So first, Kakalos. This card I think is one that could also easily get banned, especially if they decide to not hit Instant Fusion. I feel like this is a card that they should definitely ban. And as you can see through the OCG format, you don't even need Kakalos for the tier deck to strive. It's been hit I think 3 or 4 times already, and it's still the most represented deck over there.
Yep, same. Same thoughts. Kakalos could get hit to 0 or 1 because since cashiers are in the format, maybe like they can just you play the 1 for the definite hit with Unicorn. But definitely could be. I can see it getting hit to 0. It's the best card in the deck. It searches trap cards. It mills 5 cards. It special summons. It does everything you want in a card. So I can definitely see it getting hit to 0.
Yeah, and then what do you think about Beatrice? We were talking about this earlier, just with cards that serve similar roles.
Yeah, Beatrice is the lone survivor of the card that can send anything to the grave, and I think it's the last one to get hit. It's obvious Konami doesn't like any cards that can just send anything to the grave. It also makes Nightmare Griffin, like it still makes that card relevant, like because you could just still Beatrice send and then just like link up into a Griffin. Yeah, I definitely think Beatrice should get banned. It's if not, it's just gonna stick around forever.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very firm on the point that like if a card like Lavalval Chain and Curious are banned, then a card like Beatrice has to be banned, or they all just have to be legal. They do the same thing. They're all just easily accessible with 1 to 2 cards in any deck as long as you design it for it, and they let you tutor any card out of your deck. That shouldn't be allowed.
Especially with the Bestials. Actually, if they banned Beatrice, maybe they wouldn't hit any Bestials. because Beatrice does make Bystials a lot better.
That's true, but I think it'll just help them push Wallow because that card itself is also so strong. Like that's just another rank 6 that synergizes with the Bystials. It allows you to just steal cards from your opponent or be a disruption itself. Going from 2 to 3, the Recital Starling, it didn't really do much it going to 2, so they'll probably just end up putting it to 3. Will it be this list? We're not 100% sure. But it's a card that I think we're all fine with coming back.
Yeah, I agree. I actually played against this deck, and I felt like it had a chance to beat my Shizu tier deck if it had a third Recital. Because the person I played against was able to get advantage, but he just literally ran out of every card in his extra deck. And if he had this other Recital, maybe he'd been able to do something. So I definitely think 3 Recital, like, it'd be no problem.
Yeah, and then another card I want to talk about is Sprite Elf. I think this card deserves to be banned, but knowing Konami, they probably won't ban it, they'll limit it, and I think that's a little frustrating because the deck that would only get hit by that is Sprite. Well, every other deck that, in my opinion, abuses Elf more than Sprite does, they only play that one copy, so I think they should ban it. I don't know if it'll happen this list. I really hope it does, though.
Yeah, I think it should be banned, but I think it's gonna get like the needle fiber, and I don't know if Predaplant got hit to 1 too. But the needle fiber Predaplant effect, where they just hit it to 1 for no reason, and then they ban it later on. But it's just a super generic extra deck card, and if they don't ban it, again, it's one of those cards that will just stick around in every extra deck until it gets hit.
Yeah, so I definitely think this card will be banned, if not this list, on the next one. And then speaking of banned, the last card we're going to talk about is Ancient Fairy Dragon. With it getting an errata in the OCG, and I'm pretty sure it has an announced reprint in the TCG, not 100% positive. So that one would be with the errata. Then I think Ancient Fairy Dragon can come back. I don't think it would be too much of an issue. If it wasn't for the errata, this card can definitely not come back. But
yeah, the errata changes Ancient Fairy. It's not like super spammable, and they also took out like Mystic Mine. So it's not the field spells are super crazy right now. But there's no like Floodgate, and yeah, the errata is just gonna make it playable.
Yeah, so it'll be good. But that's pretty much it. That's our take on what the next ban list should look like. Will it look like this? We're not 100% sure, but we'll hope so. And when we know, we'll be able to react to it with you guys.
Yeah, it's like a prediction / what we think it could also, like what it should be. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll catch you in the next video, guys.
I see you.